cell phone would go ahead and mute it or turn it off. It's up to you. We have full quorum tonight. Our Pledge of Allegiance is going to be offered by the Vice Mayor, Richard Ortega, and following the prayer, which will be offered by Pastor Robert from the Way World Outreach Church. Would you stand with me and remain standing for the prayer? And Pastor Robert, would you come up here when you go to pray?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads and let's pray. Father, we come before you and we invite you into this meeting, in this time. God, give us wisdom. Continue to give us vision, answers to challenges. God, we give you this meeting tonight. Have your way, not our will. Let your perfect will be done tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pastor. Brings us to item 5, which is citizen comments on agenda. Oh, go ahead, Vice Mayor. Sorry, my bad.
Just for the, as a reminder, tomorrow is Flag Day. So if you have a flag, display it proudly. And remember to think about what it's a symbol of, our freedom and all, everything that we have. It's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate that. And once again, your service as well as all those up there, Arnold, your service that you guys did. Citizen comments on agenda items. And we do have citizen comments on non-agenda item. Pastor Robert, would you go ahead and come back up? And once again, we can't engage in our conversation with you because it's a non-agenda item. But I know that you're here to introduce a church. So.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, you guys. Thank you, council members and mayor. My name is Pastor Robert. I'm the associate pastor of the Way World Outreach. Me and my brother started this church 18 years ago in San Bernardino, California, about 2 hours east of Los Angeles. Right now, we're one church with 7 locations. 2 in San Bernardino, 1 in Pomona, California, 1 in Compton, California, 1 in Tijuana, Mexico, and also 1 in Kenya, Africa. And now, our newest addition, Safford, Arizona. We're currently in transition right now with Victory Fellowship, transition to the Way World Outreach. We'll be the new owners of the theater. We're going to be remodeling the theater inside and out. We're looking maybe for a grand opening, maybe in a couple of months, just because we want to get the building up to par. But we're really excited to be part of this city. And me and my family, we're currently moving from California to here in the Valley. And we just bought a house. We just opened escrow. And we're excited to be here. Our number one goal is to help meet the needs of the people. Our biggest ministry is called Adopt a Block. And I'm wearing the shirt today, Reach the One. What is Adopt a Block? We adopt neighborhoods. We adopt families that need help. We just launched it this last Saturday at the Gila River Apartments. We met several families. We met a grandma who has 6 kids. She needs a lot of help. Ran into a mom who needs baby clothes, which we just delivered a few hours ago. So that's what we do. Our number one goal is to love the people, assist you guys as leaders. We just want to help any way that we can. We're here to serve you guys, and you'll be seeing a lot of us. And hopefully about a month or 2, we'll have a grand opening. We are keeping, of course, the theater. Everybody's asking, are you keeping the theater? Of course we are. We're keeping the theater. We're also in negotiations as well, talking to the old mini golf place. I would love to reopen that. I'm seeing we need some more things for the children. So just want to introduce myself, Pastor Robert. You'll see my wife, Veronica, here and there. And we love you guys. We're here to serve you. And we're really excited to see our partnership in this. So God bless you guys. We're going to continue praying for you guys. And if you need anything, you let us know. If there's something you think, man, can the church help out with this? Call us. We're just a phone call away, and we'd love to serve you guys. Thank you guys for your time, and God bless you guys.
Pastor Robert, thank you. And,
Yes.
And just letting you know that we love our community, and we hope you left California there, but come here with new ideas.
That's right.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Bring us to new old business. Interesting. So, item 7.1. Councilman Lopez.
Yes, Mayor, I request this be on agenda so we could talk if we need to. And, but I just wanted to let you know that the League of Cities coming up. I approached Tony to see if, the Stars would attend again this year possibly, but I didn't promise anything until I checked with the rest of the council in case they have ideas or preferences or things they want to bring up. And if not, with everybody's direction, we can go forward and invite them.
So this is for discussion, if anybody feels that they want to chime in and allow them to come.
I think it's a good idea myself.
We've used them before, Vice Mayor, and they've done well. Their presentation last year was at the beginning of when we initiated the Parks Group. They took that and presented it at the League of Cities and Towns. This year, they're even more advanced in that, and the presentation could be that again. So they enjoyed it. And just looking for you guys to hopefully be in agreement and give staff direction that that's what we may want to do.
Are they gonna have a safe vehicle this time?
Yes.
And just to make another comment, to get the young ones involved, I think that's fantastic.
So,
I'm in favor as well.
okay,
Okay,
I'm
I
hoping
think,
that's the direction you're gonna give staff.
I think you got enough.
All right.
All right.
Would that be sufficient direction?
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, it would be, and we are going to rent a vehicle this year, so we won't have any issues with size or quality of the vehicle, so we'll
Don't
take
bring
care of
that
it.
up.
Well, I just want you to know, we're gonna take care of it.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, City Council minutes. Tammy?
Mayor and Council, I have the March 28th, 22 City Council minutes for approval. Did everybody have a chance to review, and is there any questions?
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the council meetings as been published. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Got a little feedback up here still. 7.3, library circulation policy. Victoria?
This is a request for Mayor and Council to approve an updated circulation policy to reflect changing library services. And the current policies were adopted in July of 2020. And our circulation of materials and types of materials available for checkout have changed within that time frame, and current policies are not reflected. So I've highlighted the changes to the current policy. Seasonal residents, we have been giving them full year's cards. We actually are putting that for sure in the policy, and we've provide a definition of what that is. Kits and culture passes are now available for checkout, with checkout periods and restrictions on their use added. Interlibrary loan requests, we want those placed in person, and we've added text messaging as a form of communications. And we also have color printing available, so we've added that in other fees. Are there any questions?
Everybody have a chance to preview it? If so, I entertain a motion.
so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the circulation, or the circulation policy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Go ahead, stay up here for item 4.
Yes, this is a request for Mayor and Council to approve the modification of the job title and job description for 2 part-time positions. They're both within our library grants department. Both positions are grant funded and would only be filled if the grant funds are secured, which they are this coming fiscal year. So the 2 part-time positions we're looking to modify are the lead Science City coordinator to the Makerspace coordinator, and the Science City coordinator to the elementary program coordinator. We do strive to be responsive to the changing community needs while providing services that are reflective of values, needs, and desires. With that community needs and desires have changed over time. So the Science City program, its initial intent was to introduce local area school-age children to STEM through monthly activities, while partnering with local area businesses and educators to provide instruction and examples of potential career fields. Over time, the need to expose school-age children to STEM concepts has decreased, but the need to provide applicable informal learning opportunities has increased. So the Makerspace coordinator would continue the intent of Science City, but they're focusing on tangible science, technology, engineering, arts, and math skills. through real-world application of makerspace technologies. The coordinator will plan and facilitate the use of the makerspace through programs that will occur on a weekly basis, with more programs being potentially offered based on community need. Additional responsibilities for that position include the maintenance of the equipment and creating the online tutorials for the equipment used within that space. And the elementary program coordinator will oversee the fulfillment of weekly programs for children in grades kindergarten to 3rd grade. These programs will also cover literacy and STEAM concepts and will rotate through one of the more of the concepts each week. There will be a science program one week, or the next week, a literacy program the week after that, etc. They will also work with local area schools for field trips, both to the library and outreach to classrooms, and our school visit requests are increasing. So both coordinators would remain within the same pay range of the previous positions. The Makerspace coordinator would remain at a minimum salary of $14,961, mid-range of $18,697, and a max of $22,441. And the elementary program coordinator would remain at the minimum of $9,319, mid-range of $11,648, and the maximum of $13,978. The hiring range for both positions would be between the minimum and mid-range based on the qualifications and their experience. And the Science City program will continue to be a part of our programming, but on a more limited basis, such as for our big spring break or summertime summer reading programs. Both new positions would build upon the original Science City concepts while adapting to meet the new needs in our community. And I've attached both the lead Science City coordinator job description and the Science City coordinator job descriptions and the 2 potential proposed job descriptions. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Did you open up with saying the grant money was already there?
Correct, yes. It was, United Way has funded us for the next fiscal year.
You almost had me with that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds good.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the library positions modifications. Any more discussion from us? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 8, resolution R22-18. Brian? Captain, or, yeah, no, Captain. What-
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yes.
Bringing before you tonight, Resolution R22-018, which is our IGAs with the county for dispatch and animal control shelter.
I make the motion, we approve R22-018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Captain, you come up with the amount $472,667.
Yes, sir.
That's our share for this year.
Yes, sir.
How do they calculate what is our share? What formula do they use?
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, this was based on population.
On population? not-
Population, so the county's population, our population, Thatcher and Pima. So what they did is they calculated population, the total amount that dispatch was costing, which is the 1.5 million, and I'm just rounding off some of the numbers, but, and then they did the percentage of population based on that for the amount of the 472.
Not on calls this time, because you guys participate in the majority of the calls, whether it's the neighbors or not. You guys always have a hand in there, and I didn't want to be punished for helping.
No,
But
and
this is
we-
population.
Yes, sir. We do handle a majority of the calls that do come into dispatch, but it was based on population, because if we went on calls for service, it would have been a lot greater than that.
Yeah, that's the way they have been. And, of course, you used a formula that came from their managers saying that they're gonna go up the next couple of years, and they're, I had it here in there, but anyway, that, what you had cited as the codes and stuff like that, you didn't supply any other background on it other than what was there, and I looked it up and couldn't find exactly which one you were talking about, because there are so many of them. I hope you can get back to me and let me know where that is.
Councilman Lopez, are you speaking of the Western Urban
Yes, sir.
CPI?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me. That's done every year. And so it's a percentage based on, it's basically inflation, what it goes up every year. So over the past 5 years, it's been an average of 4% every year.
Dave,
And
That's
so,
quite a bit now.
and with inflation this year, I imagine it's probably gonna be a little more than that, so.
well, you cited that, so if you can help me, because when I looked it up, there was lots of different sites that have, it was like looking in our zoning codes. So if you have the exact spot, could you let me know and I can look it up?
And you're talking about the Western Urban
Yes, sir,
Consumer,
that's the one.
Consumer Price
Yeah,
Index.
because it involves the dispatch and the animal hospital contract that we're entering into.
Yes, sir.
They cited both of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and of course, going digital, hey, don't even want to talk about that. That's 24, I think, so.
Well, it could, the memo from the county, it could be going this year, this budget year, but county's willing to provide that, fund that, and then in our next negotiation period, we pay it. But that was part of the communication form, is that if they do go ahead with that, we probably ought to get ahead of that now and start budgeting it for next budget year, rather than wait.
Yeah. Okay, Captain. Our hands are
Right.
kind of tied because that's the only game in town.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, we still have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Councilman Anazola. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You want to read the resolution? See, I stopped myself today.
Resolution number R22-018, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, approving intergovernmental agreements with Graham County for animal shelter and dispatching.
All right, brings us to item 8.2, Resolution R22-19, tentative budget. Cabrina?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm bringing a request for you to approve Resolution R22-019, the adoption of the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget. The tentative budget for fiscal year 23 sets a maximum expenditure limit for the year of $73,855,675. Included in that is $8 million in contingencies spread across all of the funds. Upon approval of the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget, the approved documents will be published in the Eastern Arizona Courier for 2 weeks as per the Arizona statutes. In addition, the city will publish a notice that includes the date, place, and time of the Truth and Taxation public hearing to be held on June 27th, 2022. And staff will be requesting the adoption of the final property tax levy at the council meeting to be held on July 11th, 2022. Over the past several months, staff has presented to council the various elements of the fiscal year 23 budget. Every department was presented with the details and summaries for council's review. Citywide changes include the following: insurance premiums charged through the city's health insurance increased from fiscal year 2022 approximately 12%. In addition to that, the city council has given direction to change the health insurance premium distribution for all dependent coverage plans from 70/30 to 85/15, reducing the amount in those plans that the employees would pay. The HSA employer match was increased to meet half of the maximum allowable contribution by law for an estimated increase of $32,700. ASRS is decreasing from 12.41% to 12.17%. Salaries include a 3% increase for all employees effective in July of 2022. This increases salaries and benefits citywide by approximately $310,000. The longevity program within the compensation policy provides a 3% base increase to employees who have reached their 2-year anniversary mark within the budgeted fiscal year. In fiscal year 22, 33% of the employees received it, and in fiscal year 23, 67% will receive the remaining amount. This will be across all funds for a total cost of $122,070. And the Enterprise Fleet Program has been initiated with a pilot program set to replace 20 vehicles beginning in 2023. Some of the noteworthy changes: the City Council's budget has increased $12,200 in community donations, including an increase to the Eastern Arizona Hispanic Heritage for a total of $2,700. We've increased the Junior Basketball League by $1,000 for a total of $6,000. $4,000 has been set aside for future recreational programming opportunities, such as a volleyball league. $5,000 has been increased to the Downtown Association for a total of $10,000, with a cumulative rollover up to a maximum $15,000. The city has also programmed 3.2 million in ARPA funding, and we will be utilizing that in the following programs. The City Works software for $74,000, 14th Avenue fiber upgrade of $33,000, downtown Main Street Wi-Fi for $21,230. 8th Avenue and Discovery Boulevard Park will be $2,431,770, and the airport T hangars for $640,000.
Before you go any further, explain to me what was going on in the airport T hangars, because I thought we put a stop to that.
We put a stop to the airport mower, but not the hangars.
Okay, so what are we getting out of that $640,000?
Mayor and Council, if you remember, we proposed putting in a bank of 8 or 10 T hangers that we would actually generate revenue, and that was the reason for the T hangers.
But you never got back to us how much we're actually gonna gain in revenue off of that, because in that meeting, we asked you to also tell us how much it is, because we said we needed to restructure that, because we're not getting our best investment in return on the leases.
We are gonna bring you a rate study that will analyze the rates that we charge out there currently, and then also the rates for this building will be set to basically pay it off in whatever amount of time, 20 years, 25 years, so we'll get our return on our investment.
How much of that 2.431 million is going to secure for the park? Is that gonna get the park built?
We haven't even got a design on that park. We have a preliminary design, so that's, with that money, we wanna hire a consultant and hire somebody.
No.
Yes, yes.
Hire a consultant,
For
huh?
a park this size, we need to have a proper
Oh my
design.
God, I wanna know how much that's gonna cost
Okay,
us.
we'll bring that to you for approval.
$74,000 for City Works software. Can you explain that, why that wasn't automatically put in a budget to where every year it was being budgeted into where all of a sudden we're just taking $74,000 in one hit?
Mayor Couts, we put that in there as a project because the ARPA funding allowed us to take on that without putting it in our general fund. There's nothing that requires us to do City Works with ARPA funding, but it's something that we did discuss at the work session. So all of the items that are on here, we vetted on March 25th. So if there was anything that council didn't want in there, we would have taken it off the list, and we still can. But again, it was our understanding that these were items that council did agree with, so that's why they're there.
I know that the council did talk about that, and we did agree with that, but we don't want this to ever happen again. So it needs to be budgeted in every year, that we don't, because how many servers does this fix?
Mayor Couts, the City Works software isn't a server base, it's actually software, so it's basically like a work order management system, so it allows us to monitor both our infrastructure and also the way we set up our folks and send them out into the field. We can monitor time, resources. So it's a very good software package that will allow the utilities director to manage personnel much more precisely than we do now.
And how did that not get in the budget, though?
It is in the budget.
Well, under ARPA funding.
Yes, it is.
So
But
how come we didn't put it in the budget to be working towards something instead of coming with a one-time funding?
Well, again, the issue of using CityWorks came up, and I think when we went through the ARPA funding, staff looked at ARPA and said, what can we pay for that would give us a break on taking our own general fund money and using it? And that's why we brought these projects. We thought these were good projects. CityWorks is a good program. It's used across the country. It's good for managing resources, especially with something as large as our utility group. So at the time, and in the discussion we had at the work session, the idea was that this was a good way for us to spend some of that money. Now, again, if it's not something council wants, we can always take it out.
What's the ongoing monthly surcharge?
I think there's probably annual maintenance, and probably our IT director can answer that question better than I can.
Yes, right now, we don't have any ongoing maintenance on it right now, but once we get the project going, then we'll see what we have. I don't think it's gonna be very expensive for ongoing maintenance.
So how are we doing dispatch right now?
How are we doing
Yeah,
dispatch?
you guys, manager said that this was for like helping for dispatch, for different things like that. How are we doing that now? In other words, we could take 74,000, give it towards the employees and give them 4%, especially when we just passed a resolution, R22-18, that shows that goes up every year at 4%, and we only gave the employees 3%. But yet we're gonna buy this software because it's going to make our lives easier.
Correct. Yes, Mayor Couts, Currently, we have developed, just for the water department, internally, we use GIS to create a work order system, but that's only for our water department. We expounded a lot of time and effort in getting that software running. And so with CityWorks, that's going to give us a lot better tools that we can utilize across all the utilities department, not just water.
Okay.
In other words, you'll be working more efficiently in a timelier manner.
Yes, Mayor Couts, Councilman Ortega, that's correct. We will be.
We
So-
need a motion to approve the tentative budget?
I think she wants to continue reading.
It's fine.
All right, we have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the tentative budget, R 2219?
Aye.
Any opposed? I oppose. I oppose because of the, using our one-time funding. I'm not in favor of it. I was in favor of the one-time funding being used for recreation, and instead staff figured out a way to spend it, take it away from our kids, so. If you wanna go ahead and read the resolution in, Tammy?
Resolution number R 22-019, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, setting forth the tentative budget and establishing the maximum budget amount for the city of Safford for fiscal year 22 and 23.
Thank you. Brings us to item 8.3, resolution R 2220, Parks and Rec Committees. John?
Mayor, council, members of council, this is a request for mayor and city council to review and approve resolution R 22-020, reinstating the Parks and Recreation Committee so that they may continue to serve in an advisory capacity regarding the continued development of recreational amenities and services for the city of Safford. Attached is the resolution and the guidelines that govern that body. There were a couple items that I did want to review with you based on the last meeting that we had. First of all, there was a request, and I would like to pursue that request by Councilman Seal to do a work session with the Recreation Committee. My question for council is, are you interested in that? And if so, would you like to have it be a standalone item so that we can kind of spend some time with them and relax into the issue? Or do you want it to be part of an agenda? I'd like to kind of get a sense of how you want to approach that.
Either way. That work session will be fine with me.
So again, Mayor, Council, members of council, I just want to make sure that we provide a good venue so we have some time to just relax and really create expectations, because I think that's what the suggestion was, and I think in this case it might be a good idea. I know sometimes if we schedule meetings as a standalone, it's harder to get everybody together. So if there's no other direction, I'll just add it to an agenda. If the desire is to do it as a standalone, we can do that as well.
Add it to the agenda. Yeah, meeting.
And at the last meeting, we also talked about the process by which we were going to create the new committee, which involved at-will in an application process. And essentially what that meant, at-will, was that the term would be indefinite, in that the application process, rather than the original committee where the appointments were direct appointments, we would bring applications to council, you would vote as a body, and a majority vote would put a person on the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. We also had a discussion regarding proxy voting. By advice of our attorney, proxy voting was not allowed and under open meetings law, so the proxy vote, which would have assisted, I think, in the issue of keeping quorums, because we had some issues with quorums in the past, that is not available to us. And so I was wondering, and I would make the suggestion that since the council is not making direct appointments to the committee, if we would want to reduce the number of the committee from 7 members to 5 members, which of course, right now we have 5 members that remain, all core members, and then I think this would help us in terms of the logistics of getting folks together for the meetings, because you wouldn't have to do 7, you could do 5. And I think it dovetails well with the at-will application process. So again, we would have to amend the document that's here, because that document contains a 7-member committee. I'm simply making that suggestion and wondering where council stands on that issue.
I like the idea of a 5-member committee, just because it would make it a little easier to get a quorum. I think that's important.
I concur with the vice mayor.
And I'm the one that brought up the proxy suggestion, just to try to make it easier if we didn't have a quorum. The proxy can't be because of open meeting laws, but this committee is still under the same laws that this board is, so they can still listen in electronically. They can still do everything we do to achieve a quorum. If they're out of town, they can call in and still attend. So it's still helpful to achieve a quorum in that manner, in that manner like we do. So proxy doesn't kill that. That's still available. And I didn't know 5, or we still, so we're saying 5, so we're going back. We don't want to appoint them. Okay.
It's gonna be an application process then.
Application, and we vote on it, okay.
Might be easier to keep it filled with 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as often as they're gonna meet quarterly at a minimum, and I don't know, is part of the resolution you're reading part of their rules that we're gonna be talking about?
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, the guidelines are attached.
Okay, because I didn't see, they talked about somebody keeping minutes and having the minutes in, because we changed the agenda to be out at least a week before to give them some time to look at it. But nowhere in what I read does it say who's taking the minutes and who's gonna generate the minutes for everybody.
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, that would be somebody from the Community Development Department. In the past, it was Jennifer, but there's a new woman there now that probably would be in charge of that. So it's a support staff member from Community Development.
Okay, but that's not identified, so
Okay.
it needs to be.
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, if we go with 5 members, we would amend, and if you'd like, we can amend also, I think, and put in the staffer as part of the amendment, so we could do both the 5-member, and we could identify community development staff as the individual who will provide staff support for the event.
Yeah, that would, I guess who you're gonna talk to, Jamie or whatever, who wants to step up and do that, I think you'll talk to them about that.
Yeah, and it will continue to be the same position in community development that was doing it now. There's a new person in that position, but it'll be the same person, or
Yeah,
position.
I don't wanna say, this is your job now, that'll come from you.
Yeah, that's right, we
Okay.
can tell them that anyway.
All
Yeah.
right.
So I think if you want, we can make that amendment, so we could do 5 members, right? And we could do, put in verbiage in terms of who's going to do meeting minutes.
Yeah, so you can make the motion with those amendments, or we can table it, bring it back with those amendments, whichever you prefer.
I'll make the motion with the amendment.
Second.
Okay, so you need to tell me what the amendments are, Councilman.
Okay, if I can recall them.
Yeah.
5 members on the board.
And stating who would be taking the minutes.
So,
Okay.
and community
Saying who would be
development
taking
staff would
minutes,
be
okay.
taking minutes.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, you okay with that?
I'm fine.
Any more discussion?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. You want to read that resolution in with the amendments?
Resolution number R 22-020, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Safford reinstating the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee and seeking further input regarding the continued development of recreational amenities and services. This motion also includes the amendments for going from a 7-member committee to a 5-member committee, and stating within the guidelines of who it will be, which staff member will be taking the minutes within the meetings.
Sounds good. Announcement of current events 9.
Mayor, I have something, this is not part of the agenda, but I want to say thank you to Director Henry and his staff for doing a good job on Little Hollywood Road. I want to say thank you and keep up the good work. And another thing, I have a question here. I know it's a month early, but are we going to participate in the 4th of July parade so I'm not running around like a chicken without a head?
Have you ever seen a chicken without a head?
I'm one of them.
I think we should.
Okay, everybody else? So we get the vehicle and we're not running around? Okay, I'll go ahead and arrange for that then.
Anybody else on announcement of current events?
On the announcement of current events, the way this is written, that's why I asked to be on the agenda, with assigning the kids to go. Because the way this is written, we couldn't have had any discussion, we couldn't have taken any action on it, and none of you, we couldn't have talked about it. So that's why I didn't put it in this section, because it does read there, that we are not to discuss it and take any action and things like that. So that's why I put it on the agenda.
Councilman Lopez, you have every right to bring anything that you need to on the agenda, and so, so noted that, I think you did fine. Item 10, request for future agenda items.
And this is another one the way I read it, it's vague. Any member of the council may request that an item be placed on the agenda for a regular meeting of the city council per the code. We know that. Any one of us can put it on there. And then when you read further, if necessary, council may have a discussion and take action to determine if an item may be placed on the agenda for the upcoming council meeting. Well, we don't take action on it unless it's an action item, and it's almost like we're gonna ask each other permission to put stuff on the agenda, so I think it's kind of vague.
Don't you have to have somebody else agree it should be something we wanna talk about?
Supposed to be.
I thought it was
No.
2.
Yeah, it takes two.
Yeah, takes 2.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, Councilman McGoy. There are several versions of what can be put on the agenda. So the first sentence addresses the idea of a regular item, which a council member can put on the agenda. But if a council member wants to have an executive session, an individual council member cannot make that request. So it would either be the mayor or 2 council members. There are other items, like we've discussed, bringing back the fire chief discussion. Well, that's a whole nother ball of wax, where if we take that item back within 6 months, you have to poll, get 2 members to agree. If one of those members disagrees, then it has to go on the next agenda, and on you go. So the whole idea behind this, the way this was written, and again, the city clerk wrote it this way for a reason, is that it addresses a regular council agenda item, which is the first sentence. And the second sentence allows us to have a discussion so that we know if, for example, an item that would be requested is an executive session item, we can take care of that now, and you can get the second individual to concur, which means then staff has direction and can come back with that executive session item. So it's written that way for a particular reason, because it takes into account different possibilities which have different requirements in order to get an item back on the agenda.
Well, it doesn't read that way, that's what I'm saying. All that you project into it, I don't know where this came from. It suddenly appeared on our agendas here a couple of months ago and stuff. And the way it's written, it doesn't say all that.
Okay,
Well,
hold on.
So,
Go ahead.
you know.
I just think that's the whole point of the if necessary, and it might could be tweaked a little bit, but 2 people aren't necessary for
No.
the first sentence.
No.
So, any one of us can bring something to the agenda, and if one person can't, then, I mean, we could list out all the different reasons that we
Correct.
might need to take 2 people, but that,
And that's the reason it's broad.
right, so the if
Councilman.
necessary is if
All those rules are already
if
in
the
our
requirement of the code,
Yeah, all them rules are already in our codes.
Right.
So I don't know, all of a sudden it popped up. I don't know what caused the necessity of this. I don't say it's all bad, but what caused the necessity of having this in there?
Mayor Couts, Councilman Lopez, what caused the necessity of having this was the list of items that you presented in a council meeting that was a mixed bag of executive sessions and normal items, which made it very difficult for me to respond appropriately. So what I asked the clerk to do was to take this item out, make it a separate item, which gave council the direct opportunity to make specific requests for specific items so that staff could be tasked specifically and respond appropriately based on the request. So again, the whole point of this was to give you more latitude to make requests and put staff in a position to respond appropriately based on our code and the rules that are conducted on those items. So again, if you look at your work session items tonight, all three of those are basically a result of item 10.
So we're going back to that again? What I request, I requested that an email be placed on the agenda.
No, that's not what I'm
That-
saying. What I'm saying
You
is
said
that,
that just now.
yes,
that
because.
That's what caused this.
All right, you
Because
guys,
it gave us
either way,
I
the
think we're getting,
opportunity to
getting,
respond appropriately
So-
to requests,
Yeah,
right? Because
so-
the list that was presented had different types of items in it.
go ahead.
Maybe with something like this too, we just need to decide, do we want it on there or not, and then proceed, instead of having these
I heard
Fairly-
I heard the reasoning, all I needed to hear.
fairly fruitless
I'm done
discussions
with the
about things like this.
conversation.
Do we want a space where we can request agenda items, or do we not? And if we do, that should be the end of it. If we don't, that should be the end of it. But let's pick.
Mr. Henfield, we can already request agenda items.
Sure.
And if we do it out of the parliamentary procedures, the clerk will correct us.
Right. So
And
do we want 10 or not, is what we need to do.
Yeah, I think we need to.
We
keep
need to
10
not
in
do
there.
this. We need to decide, do we want 10 in here or not, and then be done with it.
Well,
I think for us on the council, on a Monday night, when we have meeting, if we want to request a future agenda item that is fresh on our topic, that today would be a good day to have that on there. And then when we start to proceed with the week, and all of a sudden, let's say, Councilman Andazola, thinks of something, and he knows he can't have, an agenda, or ask for an agenda item that goes into executive session without another council with him. But he can put anything he wants from, as long as it's within that timeline that staff has and we have, that we have to have this turned in so that staff can then bring all the paperwork together and get it to us. And so I think, the cutoff, I think, is on a Wednesday, right? And so, like, if we think of something on Tuesday, we can still call and ask Tammy to get it on an agenda. And we can also come in on a Wednesday and ask for it, but that's it, correct?
So, Mayor Couts, currently, yes. So starting July 1, there is a new agenda process that I'm going to be rolling out for all staff, including council members. That does move that deadline even earlier, which I will be going over with you guys. And if I may, as a suggestion, I would suggest leaving this item on the agenda, and just to clarify, with the if necessary, we can change that to if necessary per city code. So that way, if it says executive session, special agenda item, or one that was previously on the agenda within the last 6 months that requires that discussion and action to get on there, that covers
Yeah.
that completely.
Yeah, I think we need to keep it on there, and I think that any time, even if I can't get it on that following Monday's council agenda item, I could ask for it to roll over into the next one. And so I think that's okay. I think that we need to have that. I think we understand that, and just leave it, to me, I say let's leave it as is until you roll the new report out.
And just as a point of clarification, item 10 was added to provide you additional opportunities to have direction to staff to bring items to the agenda. It's not entitled or intended to somehow circumscribe what you do. The whole point of putting this in there, breaking it out, was to give you more opportunity to make requests, not less.
Okay. So do we have anything for future agenda items? No, I want to move right on. Everybody okay? Item 11, report on operational items. So on the report, huh?
There's none listed at this time.
There's none?
Correct.
Close regular meeting and reconvene into work session. Item 13, animal control services. Cap?
Mayor, council members of the council, a while back, a request was made to bring back discussion on animal control services. And the communication form outlined what our current process is. We do have a part-time animal control officer. So we're just gonna open it up for discussion and see what you guys would like, kind of direction you'd like to give us.
I think it needs to be, I think we need to have somebody a little bit longer than 3.5 hours.
Okay.
But I'm just one vote.
I agree with you, Mayor. There needs to be somebody.
Are you talking maybe like a half day per day, something like that?
My
Or-
question to you is, of course, you guys know the calls, and I see you giving us the calls, but from when he goes home, in any given day of Monday through Thursday, does he get called back out to go take care of a dead animal, or does this individual, go get called back to take care of something?
Multiple times per week, a lot of times, yes.
And so, Captain, if you were to, I want you, as if this was a budget item preliminary prior to a budget rollout, would you be asking for a full-time animal officer or more than 3.5 hours a day? Would you be asking for more?
It would always be nice to ask for more, but bringing the support with it of between 300 and 400 calls a year wouldn't support a full-time officer.
Okay.
At one point, they did bring the idea of animal control and code enforcement, so that is one of the options that can be looked at going forward.
Councilman McGoy?
I probably brought this up, but my thought was more of a flexible person rather than having set hours, because I know of 4 or 5 instances where people specifically let their dog out as soon as they know that the animal control officer went home, and they call him back home as soon as they know he's coming out. And if he had flexible hours, like he worked 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. one day and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. another day, I mean, having set hours just doesn't seem to work as far as the part of, I mean, literally, there's just a lot of people that pay attention to when he works and when he doesn't, and their dogs roam when he doesn't work. So I would like to see him have a schedule that you couldn't figure out.
Mayor Couts, Councilman McGoy, I understand what you're saying. Trying to fill that position with flexible hours, say, you're all over the calendar, basically. Being quite honest, I think it'd be pretty hard to get somebody to fill that position.
It might be.
Evan, is it difficult?
Teddy Joe is no longer.
Is it difficult doing the overtime for him or this individual after the 3.5 hours is reached? Is it difficult? I mean, is it difficult for your guys' budget that you guys already have presented to us?
Right now, it's built into the current budget, which was tentatively approved this evening, yes. So it would have to be something going forward for the next budget.
He does have the 3.5 hours, but then there's some more time, because you expect him to get called out, right?
Mayor Couts, Councilman McGoy, yes, he does. He's up to 19 hours per week. He's scheduled for the 3.5 because of the call-outs after hours in the evenings and things like that.
That makes sense.
Do we sometimes use, like Chrysler to come out and get skunks or rattlesnake?
We don't have any kind of, Mayor Couts, Councilman Lopez, we don't have a contract with any outside services to include Graham County Animal Control.
Yeah, and I just didn't know how we ended up with the code people and the thing, how we didn't go much further than we had that discussion that evening. I was interested in how it worked. I didn't know if it would, but is that ruled out completely now?
Will that be off topic?
No, they have it here.
You have it
I
there?
don't think
Okay.
so. I think it's animal control. I mean, it was the genesis of the earlier subject was that in the beginning of the budget process, we bought a combination position that would have been animal control, code enforcement. There didn't seem to be an interest in it at the time, but it's certainly something that we could bring back and revisit, because that would allow, but again, you're gonna be doing code enforcement in a systematic way, which means, we have to follow through on that, but there are many issues, some of which have come to council very recently, that, a systematic approach to code enforcement, I think, would be beneficial. if that's something you want to pursue and follow through on, we could bring that position back. Preferably next year when we reconsider everything. If we wanted to do something, we could do something even this year. We could make an amendment and reduce our contingency, put a animal control / code enforcement officer on the budget this year. I would prefer if we waited a year and put it in the hopper with everything else, but it is something that we could consider, and that would mean that this individual could be doing code enforcement on a regular basis, and then when they got called off, they could then respond to those issues, plus they would be able to be called out after hours.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
And I would like to look at it in the near future, next budget. I think it's something that we really have to take a close look at, especially the code enforcement. And then, you know, are we gonna tie it in with the animal control and that type thing? So, to do a good job on it, I wouldn't wanna rush it right now. Next budget, yeah, that's where I'd be.
Cause I do remember that was to try to take some load off Jaime too.
Correct.
Notify somebody to clean something up, notify him, go back, and there, he was making 3 to 4 trips on the same event, so I just didn't know where that conversation went, if we were still having it or not. It'd be a hard one to feel too.
I believe so.
So the code enforcement officer that you guys are thinking of will have nothing to do with building official department.
In that conversation we had that day, Mayor, it was cause we had people blight or stuff, and to go ask them to clean up, give them a notice, give them the options on what we have, free dump once a month and stuff like that. And it was taking Jaime to go over there, notify him, go back again, he was going 4 times maybe, or 3 at a minimum. And so this could also be part of the job of that, not code as far as wiring the home and things like that.
Mayor Cowles, just maybe to answer your question specifically, it would be transferred, animal control would be transferred from the police department under to planning and zoning. But their job title would be a code enforcement, not building inspections. That was what was laid out in the original platform.
And this was discussed, like you guys, how far back was it?
It was-
My brain's gone.
Mayor Cowles, it was back in January.
Back in January?
Yes, sir.
And then it just kind of hit a roadblock, or just a stalemate, or what?
Well, Jamie's not here, so I don't know where it ended up. It was, like the captain said, I thought it was gonna end up in her lap for a while, but I don't know.
Mayor Cowles, we didn't really get much traction on it, so we didn't pursue it. But we can.
I think, you know, we should, you know, take a breather, take a look at it, you know, on our next budget coming up. Because it's not simple, I don't think.
Well, the thing is, we only have 1 billing official right now, and if we have it within the budget that can be moved funds around, a code enforcer could come on a whole lot easier than a billing official could. Because the code enforcer is just basically, from what I understand, will have nothing to do with building. It'll just be dealing with cleanup of the lots. And what you had said, that, Councilman Lopez, that you had said that they are going to be, you know, saying, hey, you have free dumps here, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. And what can this, you know, city do to help you get your place cleaned up? So to me, that individual would be easier to be hired out than us training another billing official just to leave us within 6 months.
Yeah.
Councilman Steele?
I guess back on the animal control services, you're saying your budget's okay for the way that it's set up right now? It's working all right with the hours and stuff?
Mayor Councilman Steele, yes. And I think I wrote in there, although it's not a perfect system, but it is effective for what we use it. We do have events where gain a lot of public attention, but those are pretty few and far between, so.
It sounds like for the purposes of tonight, we're not gonna be able to come up with some kind of an idea for the code enforcer and stuff, so I think we ought to maybe, Mayor, have someone, bring some proposals back to us if that's what we're interested in, so that we can discuss that at length at some point.
Okay, I think you got enough, direction.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
13.2 bike routes.
I hope this is a good one, because I keep on hearing about these.
Me too.
Yeah.
Good evening,
You
council.
guys hearing it from
I'll
the
send
public
PDF
or
on
hearing
it.
it?
Public, yes.
Okay.
Same one.
Sorry, Lance.
That's right. Good evening, council, mayor and council. As the city manager mentioned, I have 2 items to bring forward that were on the last agenda, or on the last city council meeting. It's future agenda items. This first one is a discussion and direction and information with respect to the bike routes, bike lanes, and trails within the city. Let me turn this a little bit and pull this up so everybody can see it. This is in your packet as well. So each one of those triangles on that map represents either a bike route or a bike lane sign around town. Lots of them. They're all over the place. And from what my research on this has been, I found out that, many years ago, prior to the multi-use trail system, a bike route was created throughout town for bikes to ride around on the city streets. Well, a bike route is only designated by a sign. Now, all it has to have is a sign on the street that says bike route. Doesn't have to have any striping whatsoever. Just a sign that says bike route and an arrow. We do have a few roads around town. 14th Avenue that just finished being built by the high school. We do have designated bike lanes that require signage and striping. We have 14th Avenue, I believe 20th Street has a bike lane on it. 10th Street has a bike lane on it, but that's about it. So in my research and looking at this, we kind of got together and had a proposal, and this next map is kind of what we're proposing we do with the multi-use trail system and the high use there, and getting people to and from certain areas. We're trying to maybe clean up the whole bike route system, maybe do away with the bike route system and create bike lanes as on these collector streets. One being 14th Avenue, one being 8th Avenue, coming north-south, and then Relation and 20th Street as your cross collectors that would have designated bike lanes striped, as well as signage. And those bike lanes would vary. You may have them, depending on the width of the road and what's there. You may end up with a bike lane right along the curb and gutter. You might end up with a bike lane more like what Church Street has in Thatcher, where it's parking, bike lane, travel lane. It may vary, but there would be designated striped bike lanes on these proposed collectors, and we would maintain that signage and striping moving forward. And this is just a proposal. This is open discussion, recommendations. This is what I wanted to bring forth with you.
Go ahead.
I think it's a good starting point, and I think as we've discussed, maybe individually, we can build from there if we'd like to.
That was our thought, these are very expandable. You could go all the way to the river with it to the north. 14th Avenue, as it goes north, could go that way. We could always go east-west. The bike routes, signs around town, they don't really mean anything. Every street in town is basically a bike route, whether it's signed or not. We don't need signs out there, and if you can tell, a lot of those signs have probably been out there since these bike routes were created, because they're pretty faded.
Go ahead.
I agree with Councilman Hemphill. Look, I'd like to take it one step farther, and that's get it on what do you call it, our website, this particular, what you have up there, in the newspaper, so we can get public input, let them see, and maybe some of the people that utilize these different things, would give us some suggestions. It's a good starting point.
Mayor, Council, Vice Mayor Ortega, might be a good subject for our Parks and Recreation Committee also. And I talked with Matthew today, so he'll be putting this out on the website. But again, the idea here is that you create a core that you can build off of rationally. And so in most places, if you want to, like in your general plan, you have some provisions for this. There's been some requests that I got from Councilman Andazola when the Parks and Rec Committee was meeting. So if it's the intention of council as part of the Parks and Recreation programming to expand on this grid that we've laid out, we can do it in a way that's more systematic. You can seek grant funds if they're available. Back in the day, there used to be T21 grant funds that we could do a lot with. So this would give us a very rational grid to build off of, and again, it might be a subject that the Parks and Rec Committee could use and reach out to the public and get feedback on. So I think it fits in with our Parks and Rec focus right now.
I like your proposal on there, Mr. Henry, and I think it'll make Pauline happy, I hope, Vice Mayor.
Oh, you hear from her too?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I hear from her all the time.
I'm surprised she's not here. We should have reached out to her.
She's my neighbor, so I hear a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard at the senior citizen.
But it's true, it's needed.
Yeah, she's been on us for a while, and it goes on 8th Avenue. It brings it in more, identifies better paths, utilizes the path. I like the start that you have going here, Mr. Henry.
Because, you know what, because I think she rides probably every day.
Yeah, she does.
You know, and I know in my neighborhood there, we see a lot of people riding their bikes, and as close as, like, say, 8th is to, like, say, that area there, I think it's a good starting point.
We'll bring her here to let her talk to you.
No, you don't want to bring her.
No, can you take care of that, Vice Mayor? Talk to
Yeah,
her?
she should have been here.
She
missed
should
it.
have.
And the whole point is typically our residential streets don't have any striping on them. Our collectors do, so we can actually dedicate lanes for bikes on these collectors and not have residential streets with
Yeah.
bike lanes we have to maintain.
I think you're correct in channeling them to the collectors.
All right, Lance, stay there for item 13.3.
All right, let me turn this back. I've got some plans in here.
Make it short so we can get to
So
item
this-
14.
This also was a future agenda item at the last meeting I'm bringing forth. So if you remember right, in the city budget, the current city budget, we had budgeted $10,000 for some cemetery entrance improvements for in-house design and construction. We've come up with a design concept. We haven't got into the construction phase, but I wanted to bring forth what we've got designed, and we're carrying over some money into next year's budget to do some of the construction. So this first picture here is Discovery Park Boulevard is the bottom of the picture there, and that's the south entrance off Discovery Park Boulevard. So the middle island there would be a dedicated monument sign similar to what's on the second page. It would have a flagpole behind it. We would have the United States flag and the Arizona flag on that pole. We'd have some shrubbery in the front, Safford City Cemetery on the front of a nice looking facade. And then the side little spaced 40 feet apart, we would have some future planters probably. If we didn't have enough funds to do it, we would have, let's go back to that one. So you can see 41 feet off, you would have two other planters that would kind of frame that entrance a little bit, and they would have, a tree in them and some shrubs. And then the last picture I included there was just kind of a concept of the color of brick we would use to match that sign that was put up on the corner of Discovery and 20th, or the highway and Discovery. We do a nice split face block, about bench height, so if people are walking down the path, they could sit on it, rest. That's kind of what we've come up with so far, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were on board, if I was moving in the right direction, what you're thinking.
I think it's a beautiful start. It's really needed out there.
It is. That way I understand originally that was the back of house entrance to the cemetery, and then when Discovery got built, it became the front, and now we have our yard back there, and we do need to beautify that and make it more aesthetically pleasing, basically. So.
And I do also like the idea of the way you're using some of that surfacing material, going over, kind of laying it on some of those little roads there.
Yeah, if you remember, we built in the budget for doing some chip sealing in there in the coming budget. What we did in there this year was just when we had a little extra, we would do a little bit of what we'd already put millings down, so we did put a little chipping in there, and we'll continue to do that, but next year we hope to get a little bit more accomplished.
Because there's a lot of, I think of it, I'm on the Honor Garden, so I'm out there when the families go out there, and especially a lot of people from out of town. It'd be nice for them to be able to see, that our cemetery is a nice place, to leave their family. That's how you put it. Yeah, that's good.
And and you're gonna electrify it.
Yeah, we wanna have, lights in there, obviously shine on the flag, and then maybe shine on the trees if we have trees in the corners, so get our drip system in there and have power to the lights, so it's lit up.
Councilman McGoy?
How far back off the path and the right of way are you there?
Well, it's behind the path, I believe it's 3 feet back of the path, on the north side of the path is the face of the wall.
I have a little concern with that only because I almost ran over somebody going out Jason's driveway, the original entrance. You can't see that path for the stone columns or brick columns, whatever they are.
That's why we set it back a little bit, but then we're only going 2 foot high to the back of the monument sign, so it's gonna be back, the monument sign would be back. Let's see the width here, so it's 6 foot wide, so it'd be 7 foot back to the
Well,
monument itself.
If shrubs and stuff that get big are far enough back, you can get your head in a vehicle out past them before you have to make a decision whether to go or not, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, we can look at that too. We could even, we're trying to create enough room in there to get, the big vehicles, fire trucks, and not have a turning radius issue, but we could probably even set that back a little bit. There's 34 feet between the back of this monument sign and the first block there, so there's quite a bit of room there. We can maybe pull it back a little bit,
Yeah.
give it a little bit more visual, so you're pulling out and you're not pulling out in front of somebody.
I just ask that you look at that before you set it in stone.
No, that's a good point.
Be careful, because we might have to get a consultation fee on that if we keep asking for setbacks and stuff, so. Spend $40,000 on a $10,000 project. Thanks, Lance.
Yep.
Can I move in, adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.